What up, crowdfunders? Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about raising money successfully on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, how to get funding for your passion, how to get funding for your product. And today I want to share with you an event that I attended and that I moderated, the FCBC, or For Creators by Creators event in New York City. So if you've never heard of We the People Store, or you've never heard of For Creators by Creators, go listen to episode 253 of my podcast in iTunes, How to Sell in a Retail Store. And that episode basically walks you through if you're interested in getting your products and actually selling them in a retail outlet, or you're interested in selling them in We the People store. They have literally physical retail outlets where they only sell crowdfunded products. It's kind of like Brookstone, except for crowdfunded products. So people that have raised money successfully in Kickstarter and Indiegogo, you can actually sell your products in their stores in the United States, in Singapore, around the world. It's really freaking cool. The reason why this event was special, and I was so privileged to be a moderator for this event, was that we had some really high name people there. We had the founder of the Gravity Blanket, a project on Kickstarter which raised nearly $5 million. They also have Moonpod. Their second project was raised over $1 million, an incredibly worldwide sensation. In addition, we had the founders of Nomadic there. Nomadic kind of started out with a minimalistic wallet. They then sort of pivoted to a journal, or I guess a planner, and then they really hit it big when they started to get into travel bag and travel gear, and also, you know, if you're a laptop bag or toiletry bags, they really kind of pivoted there and they smashed it with 7 successful crowdfunding campaigns. Along with kind of getting to attend this event, I guess virtually, you are also going to hear directly one-on-one from 3 different creators in terms of their advice and their tips for you starting a crowdfunding campaign or smashing it, knocking it out of the park with your next crowdfunding campaign. Some of the things that they wish they knew going into actually their Kickstarter raise, and some of the advice that they have for you. If you're in the New York City area and you want to book me for a speaking gig, or you want me to moderate your event, be sure to reach out to me. We can talk a little bit about that. And also, if you want to interact one-on-one with me, you want my thoughts, my perspective on your upcoming Kickstarter campaign, your upcoming crowdfunding campaign, could even be for a nonprofit fundraiser, I urge you, reach out down below. Just click the link to my contact form. You can fill out some of the coaching questions that I have for you, and we can book a one-on-one coaching session. Oh my God, coffee is freaking life, man. All right, let's get into today's video coming up right now.
Appreciate every single one of you guys coming down here today. So anyway, I'm Ryan, one of the founders of We the People Store. We have opened a new one in Malaysia as well. And
Ryan. So I'm very excited to be here today with all of you. I'm with Tribal Vision, who's the marketing agency that partners with We the People. Is the author of the book, the Kickstarter Launch Formula Book. And last year he helped over 700,000 individuals raise money through his podcast and his blog, YouTube channel, and more. So please give Sal a warm welcome and our
I got started in the industry back in 2012. I kind of was curious, I was excited. I saw these different Kickstarter campaigns that were raising money. You know, projects that were being raised for like making $50,000 for potato salad on Kickstarter. And that was a viral campaign back in 2012. And seeing the Pebble watch, and it just got me really excited and like wanting to know why is it that this is happening, and also behind the scenes, like what's going on to really sort of fuel that engine of growth. So I got started just sort of like a curiosity, started my blog, crowdtrucks.com.
More time researching, because that's who I am, and started researching the platform that I wanted to raise money.
No lie. So it's one of those things where use Facebook, use Instagram, use LinkedIn, all these resources.
Raw footage of videos like behind the scenes, right? It's not all perfect, it's not all, and sharing like the problems and the struggles and the highs and the lows.
All the CAD process and creating a prototype.
Looking for advice on whether you know, if I should just go ahead and try and do it myself.
Trying to figure out ways to make the Kickstarter platform encourage more conversation.
And to show your own passion, I think there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of...
Okay, now we have the funding to be able to actually go out there and create this prototype. And now you have to... I guess what I resonated so much with your story is that you created this prototype yourself out of college, in a dorm room with a product and a problem that you saw and solved. So I'd love if you could just share with my audience, people out there, just a tiny bit of your story first.
Definitely, yeah. So it started as a sophomore in school. I couldn't have a massive whiteboard in my room. I couldn't paint my walls with whiteboard paint. I couldn't drill holes in the wall to set up a whiteboard, but I wanted to brainstorm a business idea to start a business. So
did you just tell your friends that, or did you just get started on it, or?
I actually, my partner over there, Ken, he and I decided, okay, Thursday nights we'll go out, and Saturday nights we'll be brainstorming.
Hustle, yeah.
So we wanted the space so we could start writing down ideas and brainstorming, but we didn't have a space to write it down. So we ended up finding this vinyl film that just kind of worked well enough with a lot of Expo spray and Expo markers.
Yeah.
And just started writing, and that was
the start, the
MVP of it. Yeah.
So then you kind of go a different level where you then launch this on Kickstarter, and you raise $10,000, and now strangers are starting to come here and say this thing is cool.
Mm-hmm.
What did that feel like? To have that exposure.
Yeah. So it was mentioned to the panel that initially when the first stranger backs your product, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Do I know this person? And you're searching your Facebook, everything to see how did this person find me?
How'd they discover you? Yeah.
Which is really cool. And now, of course, 5 years in, we're getting that. If I know a customer, it's a cool experience. It's, oh my god, this person bought it. It's so cool. But yeah, it's wild to see that, but it's also a responsibility. It's
yeah.
Oh man, here's a stranger that doesn't care about who I am.
And you have to deliver a good product for them. And
exactly.
Also, doing your first project is really about understanding how to develop a product and get that out there.
Yeah.
So what was that difference, you think, from the first one to the second one?
So I went to business school. I went to Babson College, and that's one of the top entrepreneurship schools. And they teach us, do the surveys, do the focus groups, do product testing, customer interview, all that stuff. First product, first rendering, not a chance. Didn't do any of that. I launched the product. And
yeah,
that was it.
You just did it.
Yeah, which I loved. And we needed to do that. Because if we waited and did all that in the beginning,
the first step, yeah.
We would never have got, it was a plastic sheet of film. It wasn't going to...
Yeah.
It already didn't feel like a real company, and then once people started buying it, then I was like, oh, maybe this is a real company.
So what was different with the second project, where it's a bit more put together, a bit more professional and well thought out? What happened? What was different with that one?
So we did all those things, the survey, the focus group, all that.
And it paid off too. I mean.
It did. I think what was interesting is we really understood the demographic of the customer, and that was through, talking to previous Rocketbook customers, previous ThinkBoard customers, external customers, and understanding if they actually see value in the product or not. Mm-hmm. And for the people that don't see the value, we're not going to try to convince them. We decided, no, we're not going to make this everybody needs this. It's going to be, these are the people that are going to be wow. Yeah. And they're going to buy 100.
How much did you end up actually raising with your campaign?
So we did about 171,000 on Kickstarter and another 30 or so on Indiegogo plus backer kit.
Wow.
So yeah, about 200,000 and about 2,500 backers.
2,500
compared to our 10,000 with 200 backers the first time.
Yeah. So I guess my final question for you, you've kind of gone the classical entrepreneurial story of coming up with a product, run, fire, aim. That's how my approach. And then you polished it, you then presented it, you did a 6-figure campaign, now you're growing in like other different ways. What's like one tip you could pass on to the audience, or one thing, even like a word of encouragement, just something that you've learned that you can pass on to the audience?
Definitely. So I mentioned on the panel with the first Kickstarter, we really got to understand how the operations looked, how the marketing looked, how the accounting looked, like all of that. It was a beautiful snippet of like, wow, here's a fast growing company. Just for 30 days, you know, like you've got 30 days of experiencing like what that marketing would be like, and then 30 days or whatever, 6 months for fulfillment. I'd really recommend knowing and trusting that the company is going to stick around, because if not, then you might just rush the fulfillment. But what we did is we ended up setting up the infrastructure and the systems to allow the company to continue to go and continue to grow.
Yeah.
So I mentioned we did 200 orders for the Kickstarter, but then the next month we had 200 orders in a weekend.
Jeez.
And now we have website customers that are expecting it next day.
That's insane, man.
And initially it's 200 customers that expected it within 6 months.
Yeah.
So because we kind of put a little bit of time into investing into our operational system, we were able to handle that.
Gotta grow up. Yeah.
And now we can do that, you know, in a day and still be fine. So it's constantly putting time and energy, maybe not money, but at least time and energy back into those systems to
progress beyond the Saturdays.
Exactly. Yeah. It was out of my dorm room for the first few months, and then it was out of a little shed in my parents' office, and then now it's a real fulfillment center.
That's awesome.
Things
man.
continue to grow.
Where can people go and learn a bit more about your products and all these different things?
Amazon, our website, Google. Just Google Thinkboard, and you'll find us.
Hi, I'm Jacob Durham. I'm one of the co-founders of Nomadic, and we started our company in 2014. So we've been going for about 5 years, and we've launched 7 campaigns so far, with the 8th on its way. We're going to launch March 7th. So we're excited about that, and had some really good success so far, and hope we can keep that going.
So as a follow-up, like, you launched 7 different projects, and you sort of started with something a little bit different than you do now. Like, you started with the wallet, and then you got into the planner. Can you talk a little bit about like the transition that happened there, and why it is you shifted?
So our strategy has always been, every creator has different reasons why they pick their products. Some people they wake up in the night and they're like, oh my gosh, I need to create this thingamajig or whatever it is. My cousin and I have been very logical in our approach. Our strategy has been, we knew Kickstarter would be a good route because we didn't have any money to launch, to like do anything. So we were trying to figure out a way that we could get the cash up front through Kickstarter and crowdfunding. And so we said, okay, what typically can always succeed, or what always does well on Kickstarter? And wallets was the main thing that did well. And so we did a wallet. And then we were looking at Kickstarter again and saw that planners were doing good, and notebooks. And it felt, there's a lot of other things, but we find the things that we can be passionate and excited about, of course. And then after that, we saw that bags were doing really well, travel bags, backpacks, things like that. And so we've kind of followed that trend. But when we hit on travel bags with our 40-liter travel bag, our wallet did 170,000, then our notebook did 380,000, and then our travel bag did 1.7 million.
It was just like a different league.
It was like, okay, we're a bag company now, and this is what we're going to do. And that's basically what happened. And so we realized that people really liked how many features and functions existed.
How efficient it is. Too.
How organized, how optimized all the packing is. So that was the main aha moment for us. And so we decided, okay, now we're going to make bags, and we're going to make the most functional bags on the market.
Yeah, I think too, you kind of discover like who your ideal customer is, and the one that you want to cater to most.
Yeah,
and these
sure.
different things. I guess one question I had for you is, you've almost made like a formulaic process out of it. Kind of feels like, because you've done so many. Mm-hmm. What's a tip you could impart to the audience? They're just now getting started. Any advice? It could be on the marketing. It could be strategy. It could even just be like a word of encouragement.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the biggest things are, number one, know your numbers, know what it costs to ship, to the tariffs, everything. Like, go from the second it's made to the second it hits the customer's door. Think about the spreadsheet. Cost. And know everything. The next thing is, the biggest aha moment for me in this whole process has been, you can't just put up a Kickstarter campaign and expect it to fund. Like, you have to, and even yourself just hustling and trying to call a bunch of people and publications and stuff and trying to get them to post for you, it just didn't work for us. I called so many, and no one wanted to tell a story about another Kickstarter company.
Yeah.
And so for us, Facebook ads was like the aha moment when we started running those. We went from making on our wallet a couple $100s a day to making like $8,000 a day on that campaign.
Wow.
And it just blew my
mind.
mind.
That's like the engine behind it.
Yeah.
For you. Yeah.
And so a lot of people, when you do direct to consumer, you think, oh, if you're direct to consumer, you don't have to give up margin to the wholesale or the retail store like a Walmart or a Costco or Nordstrom.
Yeah.
And so you think there's going to be more cash in it. But in reality, the reason why you pay them is because they're driving traffic to see your product. So if they're not doing it, you've got to do it for yourself. You've got to drive people through Facebook. So all that margin gets eaten up in your Facebook spend. And so that's why you really got to understand your numbers. I always tell people, save at least 20 to 35% of revenue to go toward marketing costs. Because it's just way more expensive than you're going to think.
Yeah.
And so having enough room to go toward marketing is a really important rule to follow.
Very well said, man. So I know you have an upcoming Kickstarter campaign. Can you give us a teaser, just a little bit of what that's going to be?
So the main driver behind this was we've created lots of bags, duffel bags, travel bags. The one comment that we always get from our customers is, when are you going to create a bag with wheels? So that's the next thing. Yeah, a bag with a rolling luggage is what we're going to be launching. So.
Where can they find out about that? Or where can they get some info about that?
In a couple days, probably in about a week, we're going to send out a teaser email. So go to nomadic.com and you can there'll be a teaser page up giving a brief video and a place to enter your email so that you can sign up to be notified when we launch and everything like that.
Great.
So.
Well, thank you so much for not only being one of the pillars, I think, in the industry, but also giving back a little bit. Even just with today's conference, sharing education, information, it's so, I think, important because behind closed doors, we don't really know what's happening behind just a big raise. So I really commend you for that. So thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here, Sal. My name is Anibal. And I've designed the world's first interchangeable button system that actually requires no sewing whatsoever. You can pretty much change out your styles and customize your shirts on the fly. I started Kickstarter back in 2015. I failed, but came back again, understanding more about marketing and my target market, and eventually got to a successful campaign. And I'm here today promoting it and working and building that tribe.
So when it came to your first product here, I mean, you go on Kickstarter, you're trying to raise money. What's something that you learned, because you also did some education there and trying to learn, what's something you could pass on to the audience here, something that you've learned throughout this journey?
One of the things is not to consider your first Kickstarter as a failure, because technically it's not a failure. You're learning more and more about your target audience, and it doesn't necessarily mean that your product isn't good. You just have to remember that it's a different type of target market. So one of the things, again, that I did, after I failed, was re-educate myself about marketing and understanding about the consumer connection based on emotion, people buying product based on the emotion and not the actual product. Obviously, the product has to be good and has to have features and all that stuff.
We buy what we want, not what we need.
Exactly. That's part of the key. And once I changed that around, redid all my sales material. I did hire a sales professional to write that emotional thing, to get the ball rolling for me. It made a big difference. It made a big difference. And don't get me wrong, it also depends on the product. Some products are specific to a problem, but at the end of the day, people are dealing with that problem to get to that emotional state.
They're trying to solve something,
correct,
or they're trying to do something in their life. But also, when it comes to the marketing side, there's also a specific type of Kickstarter backer. Like e-commerce is different than Kickstarter. What are your thoughts on that? What did you learn about the community, if you will, of Kickstarter?
Well, the Kickstarter community, you have to be ready for Kickstarter, right? Because a lot of people have success in Kickstarter, and then after that, you go on to what Seth Godin calls the dip, right?
Yes,
the dip,
I love that book.
The dip is, where all of a sudden you have all this stuff going on, and then now what do I do, right? And you got to realize that Kickstarter community are all early adopters, right? These are people that are looking for new novelty, looking to be different, looking for new user experiences. And when you then take that same marketing message out to the normal mainstream world, sometimes you're not faced with the same success. People are not reacting the same. So you either have to change the message, or you have to continue to find out where the early adopters hang out. and continue to sell it from there. Ideally, selling to those early adopters and making them idea spreaders is really the key to eventually breaking into the mainstream.
So you had a longer journey here, I think, when it comes to your product and sort of figuring out how to sell that. For you, like, what was the biggest high point so far with that journey? You're still growing, you're still, getting your product out there even more. What's been the biggest high point so far? What did that feel like?
The biggest high point, the biggest high point for me, other than Kickstarter, I did also a Project Runway fashion startup show, which was pretty big.
That's really cool.
That was on national television, which totally bombed also, And the biggest key factor for me, the biggest high point, was when I finally got it, right? And when I finally got it, when I finally figured out what my product was supposed to be and make people feel like, right? Because at the beginning, I'm talking about my product, it was, I didn't know if it was for people who sew or if it was people who were tailors or if it was,
who's that ideal customer?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But once I started and obviously from that first Kickstarter is when I really realized what people were gravitating towards, and that was a high point for me because now the message was clear.
Yeah.
And from there my guidance is now better, and now my product is better, and now I'm on the right trajectory.
It's also now than just about like leveling up, and now that you have that, growing from there and getting more traffic and more eyeballs of those people that you know.
Yeah.
So my final question for you here is, talking to the viewers, people just like you that were in that stage and they're preparing for a campaign, what's either a word of encouragement, a final tip, or a message you'd like to pass on to that person, when you first got started in 2015?
When I got started was different than the message that I have now. When I got started, I wanted to pull my hairs out and say that, hey, this is dead.
Frustrating.
And it was frustrating because again, I was not clear on my message and what I had to do and where I had to finally be. Today, I can say that success isn't success without failure, right? And failure is so much more a part of it. Because I believe in Shark Tank, they say, you only need success once, right?
Then you're
you
an
only
overnight
need once
success.
and then you're golden, right?
Yeah.
But nobody talks about all the failures that came behind, And one last tip, which is what Lady Gaga said, it's not about winning, it's totally about not giving up, And I didn't give up, I went to Kickstarter, I failed my Kickstarter, I went to a television show and I bombed also. Most people would have been crushed, and you just keep going, and now, now we're in business.
Well said. Awesome, man.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.